Hello everybody and welcome to round 6 of the Tail Racing Ring Runners in season 11. It's time for the fastest cars we're going to take on this season, the LMP1 class, to bring us to halfway. It's the one I've got to say I've been looking forward to most out of this calendar that was released, of course, ahead of this season in the middle of June. It's now the end of July and we are racing again, but this time in LMP1's. You're very, very excited for this one. The combined long layout, unsurprisingly, getting its second use of the season after the HPDs earlier on. Some more prototypes later on. The Radical SR8s will also be using this layout in at the 3 occasions that we've got it here this season. Let's have a look at how qualifying went, and with a sub 7-minute lap time, Corey Stas has taken the pole position ahead of Evan Krauthob with a Porsche versus Audi front row. Porsche versus Audi as well on row 2 actually, with Dave Mull and Stephen Johnson, the AM pole sitter. Dave Hernandez and Anthony Solomon share row 3 ahead of Matt Van Horn, who has got the final time. Matt Green did not set a time, neither did Dan Kosick or Pat Mesek, who is, I'm going to try and say the name correctly. He's in the top 10 but didn't set a time. Neither did Chase Pedron or John Amico in the top 12. I'd imagine they got off track somewhere at these lightning fast machines. In the championship standings, Evan Krauthob is currently leading the way by just 3 points ahead of Dean Diltz after getting a podium on all but 2 of the rounds so far. Krauthob, and a lot of bonus points has helped him along his way. Dave Mull is 3rd ahead of Corey Stas, who has missed a round but hasn't been outside the top 2 with the ones he has been at, so he's had a good season so far. Dan Kosick rounds out the top 5 with Pat Mesek and Dave Hernandez rounding out the 7 drivers who have really been here regularly. Matt Green has missed a few, even in 8th. And in the AMS, Scott Sadler's leading the way by just 3 points ahead of Stephen Johnson, but it is close. Sadler just missed the last round, though. Anthony Solomon is 3rd ahead of Guillermo Parfitt, with Matt Van Horn next involved, and then a bit of a gap back to Chase Pedron at the back of the field. As I said, James, I'm very much looking forward to this one, but it's going to be a very, very fast one indeed. Corey Stas, less than 7 minutes of a lap time there, and that's on the longest layout that iRacing has.
On this one, it's going to be a very quick one. Well, if you're going by that time, barely 28 minutes will be done. So, you know, fair play. It's going to be an interesting one. This is quite interesting for me because I was around just towards the LMP1's of iRacing. You know, I did a few series with them in and ISREC and endurance series with them in. So I'm not fully up to touch on complete LMP1's before we changed over to what we have now.
Yeah, the GTP is now in full flight. But yeah, it was LMP1 back in the day. I've got to say, I do remember watching these days a little bit more in iRacing. I didn't drive them ever, but I think it's one of the best categories that motorsport has ever produced, actually, in the real world. And it was absolutely a huge thing back in 2018, 2017 maybe, when these LMP1s were released. It was absolutely massive for iRacing at the time. And the fact they came out together as well, by the way, the Audi and the Porsche, it created this constant battle between manufacturers. They do have their different characteristics. Through the corners, the Audis generally tend to be a bit better. On the straights, at more straight line speed, heavy circuits, Porsche tends to be better because it can actually recharge its energy. Its hybrid system, which also was very, very new to iRacing at the time, it can recharge on a straight, whereas the Audi has to be in a braking zone or whatever to recharge. So it's a fascinating battle, and over the next 4 laps we're going to enjoy it very much. A bit of a blast from the past, if you like, with these LMP1s. Audi versus Porsche once again, this time at the Nurburgring, as they bring themselves up towards the start-finish line. Corey Stas in control of the field, and he launches from the front row, taking a little bit of time just to get ready, and then goes quite a long way down the front straight, down in towards turn number 1. Krauthob immediately holds on to 2nd quite comfortably, with Johnson and Mull in 3rd and 4th. They keep their places quite nicely. It's Matt Green who's making up places into the top 5 immediately. Having not qualified, he's immediately past Solomon, as it's a clean start for all 12 through the first sections, and then they get into the Mercedes arena where it gets a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, it is. Car 667 of David Anders running a little bit wide there as well. These cars do look absolutely amazing, I've got to be honest. Very, very quick indeed. No real dramas for anything. Hernandez, Pat Mesek and Anthony Solomon having a nice little battle early on. I'm a little bit worried about this gap. It's out at over a second already, and Corey Stas is running away with this one. The question will be is, can Evan Krauthob stay there? great for Stephen Johnson, and I think it's great as the championship battle with both Pro and AMs are separated by 3 points.
Yeah, it is fantastic news. Of course, we've not quite applied the drop weeks yet, but nevertheless, to the fact that it's arguably the fact that it's over total points is actually more impressive. That it's just 3 points. So very interesting to see how it happens today. And as far as that goes, this is on board with Anthony Solomon. This is what the driver actually sees, and a lot of the complaints about these cars, often from non-traditional prototype drivers, is that you can't really see anything. And well, this is what they mean, as Solomon's going to be passed by Kosick here on the way towards the chicane. Somebody's going to have to back out. Oh, and who's it going to be? Wow, they've made it. Goodness me, they've made it through side by side. Not advisable. And Solomon keeps his position, but that was a bit odd. Oh, and he might have grabbed the wall there as well, as Kosick again has a look down the inside. He can't get anywhere at the moment, and he's getting properly stuck. Now Solomon's off the road. He can't control his car. Kosick goes through, so does Matt Van Horn.
Yeah, bad mistake from Anthony Solomon there as well. That's only the first real drama we've had over this lap, and we're already into Nords itself here currently. Corey Stas running down about half a second back on their way down into Arenberg at the moment. And Corey Stas doing a great job with Evan Crautfield in behind him as well. I never got to drive these cars, but I did hear a lot about the lack of vision, the lack of sight that they've got. As you can see, Evan Crautfield just motored past Corey Stas. Chase Petterjohn has had some drama and put himself back into pit lane. We'll have a look back at the end as per normal, but Evan Crautfield snatches away from Corey Stas. And don't forget, these are very set-up based, and they're open setups right till we get to Duck Week, so it could be a completely different setup on Evan Crautfield's car compared to what Stas has got.
Yeah, and also don't forget, as well as that, it's the hybrid energy that you've got to manage over the course of a lap as well, which, as I say, was really new, introduced at the time, but you can work out different ways of deploying it, and that's Crautfield off. He's not going to help himself whatever energy he's got at the moment if he's going over curves like that. And now look at the boost. Stas is going to get some boost on the way towards Mezkersfeld, but he's not going to go for it there. He has a look down the inside, but he can't get through. The speed is just mind-bending of these cars. It really is. The downforce they have, even on a low downforce setting that some of these drivers may have gone for here, even on a low downforce setting, it's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, have a look at this triple right-hander we're about to get, by the way, as they go flat out through the chicane, no problems, 150 miles an hour, pinned, no problem. It is frightening, these cars. Yeah,
they definitely are, and they do look absolutely planted on the ground as well, which is going to be amazing. I'm going to look at these to see how they get on the run out of Bergwerk and see up into the carousel to see what sort of speed they get. I'll be interested on the Dottingerhoe as well to see what happens. But Stephen Johnson has got it, you've got to be honest, leading the way in the AMs. He's definitely helping himself in conjunction with that championship. But then again, I don't see Scott Sadler here. So maybe Scott's off on his summer holidays or something, because that'll be a couple of weeks in a row that he's missed. But I just want to check the scores out, the speed out on what they get running out of Bergwerk up into the carousel, because I think that's going to be absolutely mighty.
Over 180 already now as they run up the hill. It's flicking about a bit, but you can trust that it's about 180 at the moment. Again, a little bit more straight line speed for Crautfield. So maybe what you were saying about the setup earlier is indeed the fact at the moment that Audi has just been put a little bit less downforce on by Crautfield, and he's really pulling away on the straight. Or is Stas waiting and leaving this for the Dottingerhoe right at the very end of the lap to unleash all of that energy down the straight and on the way towards the Tiergarten to actually come past here? It's going to be a close race between these two. Normally these prototypes don't particularly like that carousel, but in iRacing you can get away with it in almost any car, to be honest. I'm yet to see a car where actually running around the outside is actually better. I think maybe the modern Formula 1 car is maybe the only thing you can do it in. As Hernandez boosts off the corner here alongside Mesek into the top of the hill. That was close again. Up at Horak, and Crautfield meanwhile's off.
Look.
Stas is going to go through on him as well. And, well, I'm not sure where he's managed that, but he's got damage to that rear left.
Yeah, Crautfield made a mistake. We'll have a look back earlier at this one later on. His rear wings all bent up at the same time here for Evan Crautfield, and got that marked, so we'll check out what he got himself up to. But whatever he got himself up to, that may have just lost him the race, knowing how quick Corey Stas is. Interested to see what Matt Green does here in behind Stephen Johnson at the same time, because this is going to be quite interesting. Does Johnson fight? He's got a big old gap. Does he really need to? That's going to be the question. But at the moment, it's him who's making moves closer. He's closer to Dave Mould than Matt Green is. Well, he was at that point as I was started talking. But obviously these three now are going to be wrapping it up, going down in through Galgenkopf and down onto the Dottingerhoe.
this is scary. The proximity of these cars at this speed just is so scary at all times. Oh my word! I don't know how these guys cope with it, to be honest. The mental energy it takes to race at this speed so close is quite phenomenal at a circuit like this, especially. Like different lines as well there from Mull just to enter the Clan Carousel, just to make sure he doesn't fall out of it and go straight on headfirst into the wall. He just takes a bit of a narrower entry, but what's going to happen here as they come down the straight? They've already gotten speed here off of the corner. Stephen Johnson, he's out of the slipstream immediately there, up to 7th already, so got to be careful of the gear ratio here. And look at that, he's already up in 7th gear and getting towards the end of his gear ratio, and this straight is going to feel quite short because of the speed of these cars. And look at the Audis start to struggle now. The two Porsches going to go through, Johnson through, and Matt Green's going to go through as well. Dave Mull can't do anything. He'll be using up the last of his energy for this lap, and Messak's coming very quick here as well. In the background, in that Audi, he's going to get through on Mull as well. That's 3 drivers through on the straight, including one Audi on Audi there.
Yeah, and that's set up. That is set up base. Dave Mull's gone for a safe setup. And you can see that he's really, really struggling. He's got in pit lane, actually, for Dave Mull. So unless he's had some drama that we haven't seen. But I can tell you something else as well. I think Pat may have hit something.
Yeah, he's damaged, definitely. Johnson and Green in front, battle away. And Matt Green went maybe down the inside and too deep, or he went too deep on the outside. Anyway, he broke too late. That's the long and the short of it. And he's not got past Stephen Johnson, who's now on the overall podium as an AM driver. That is a huge result for an AM driver, and he will now start to gain points on Scott Sadler, who, as you say, is missing 2 weeks, unfortunately. Hopefully he will be returning a little bit later in the season. Here comes Messak round the outside of Green. This is what can happen in LMP1. You can do this kind of thing. Even though it looks impossible, round the outside of these corners, the downforce allows you to do it, and that's Messak up into 4th position.
Yeah, and Hernandez is sitting on the back of Matt Green as well. They've already dropped down Kosick 5.5 seconds back. Mole's still in pit lane. Chase Petterjohn's been in pit lane for quite a while, but Hernandez, Green, Kosick and Johnson, they're bringing the action for us here while the front two motor away. Even though Krautfeld's got damage, he's still motoring away from the guys in front. It was 7.6 at one point. It is now a lot more here, and at the moment you can see it's 8.9 for Evan Krautfeld, who's got a damaged machine, and he's clearly hit something. But Johnson, Messick, Green and Hernandez are giving the 4-car action in the middle of the field. Anthony Solomon looks like he's had more drama and has gone off, unfortunately.
I've got to say, I'm glad that in the last couple of weeks, obviously this race is not over yet, but I'm glad that in the last couple of weeks we're starting to get rid of the theory of slower cars only provide good racing, because this at the moment is super close and good racing. Now, again, whether it will last for another 2 laps and a half, I'm not entirely sure, because this is super high intensity, and as I say, the mental energy it takes is quite phenomenal, but they are racing really well in the fastest cars we've had for a long time in this series. That's fantastic to see, because too many times in the last few weeks, in the last couple of seasons, in fact, we've had relatively fast cars provide, unfortunately, pretty poor racing, as Green has a look. Oh, so close. There was a small gap down the inside, but you don't want to have an accident in these. You don't want to make contact either, so he just holds off for the moment, and now there might be a bit of extra boost here as Messak is going to be under pressure. No, Messak boosts actually, and it's going to be Johnson who's under the pressure. Look at that. He fires out like a rocket ship there towards Stredenkreuz, and he keeps the place comfortably. Yeah,
down into Arenberg there. Stephen Johnson hooks it up, gets it done. Matt Green second back at the moment with Dave Hernandez tucked in behind him. This is going to fluctuate constantly, I think, for these guys, and this is going to be an interesting thing. Look at the speed of Pat, who's just absolutely motored in that Audi. Up behind the Porsche. Johnson through the left-hander they go. These laps are going off thick and fast here. And now we're into the left-hander, through the right-hander again, and it's going to be even closer coming out, because watch Pat get the speed. He's got the speed, he got the lift. Matt Green's also there at the same time. David Anders being dropped back just a little bit, but now into the left-hander they go. Who's going to come out on top? Pat's looks like he's got this planted. Johnson is looking like he's a little bit under pressure.
He certainly is, but all of these guys are right now in this kind of group. This is just a great racing between them. Respect to everybody who's providing this close and great racing with these cars at the moment as they fly through miss hit miss down into the siphon, which you'd think is really difficult, because at slow speed these cars are still relatively difficult as well. But They come out the other side, absolutely planted throttle. Of course, they're four-wheel drive when they're applying that hybrid engine. The normal combustion engine is powering the rear tyres. The electrical energy that's saved up from the braking and whatever is powered from the fronts, and they turn into four-wheel drive cars. But so you don't want that through the corners, so it's turned off again in time for those higher speed corners, especially where you don't want to be dragged on by the understeer of a four-wheel drive car. Just a bit of an example of it there is on power you can get a little bit of that understeer sometimes, and maybe that was the case there as they got into the grass. Green gets close now to Messick, who's also catching Stephen Johnson. He wants to gain as many points as possible in that AM class, and he's going to be under pressure here from Messick, up into the high-speed left-hander. Contact! Oh, there's going to be contact here, and Messick goes into the wall. First right-hand side, then into the left. He's got damage on that Audi. He had damage before. Now it's properly damaged, and that was too brave coming into the muck curver. Far too brave, and it was never going to work. In the end, he's paid the price for it.
Yeah, he has, and he's got real bad damage in that Audi for Pat. He's parked it.
Oh.
Gutted. He's parked it up. We'll have a look back at that at the end. We've got 4 incidents to have a look back at, but these 3 still together. If they start dropping out of this, well, the next 2 laps could be quite interesting to see who keeps up with who. But at the moment, 3 Porsches in a row, Green, Hernandez, and also Johnson.
Sorry, worth noting actually that Chase Pettigrew has got back into the day as well. He's just making his way around the Grand Prix circuit at the moment. So points on the line here, very much. Further down the field, Messick's going to have to get back out onto the circuit again and continue on here as he tows back to pit lane. Hopefully that repair will not be too bad for him, but off Stephen Johnson. Oh, he's just about avoided the wall as well. Comes back onto the circuit, and Dave Hernandez will go straight through. So he's still leading the AM class, Stephen Johnson, but this is where it gets tricky for him. He's got to gain significant points on Scott Sadler, because Sadler's worst finish this season is 7th in the standings. Now he's doing better than that right now. Admittedly, Johnson, he's in 5th place, but some of Sadler's better results are really good. 6th place in round 1, 3rd in race 2, then that 7th place, as I say, and then 4th place. Was it 8th? Sorry, 8th place, and then 4th place in the mini stocks. So he's got to be doing better than that. He's got to be inside that top 4 really, and that podium would have been really good news. But I'm afraid he's just nearly found the wall there, Johnson. He's back down to 5th now. He's going to try and get that place back again from Dave Hernandez on the back straight.
Yeah, a little bit worried how far Matt Green's going to escape up here. What's saying that? The gap is coming down quite quickly. 2.2 at the moment. Johnson sitting in 5th, tucked in right behind him. 3 temps. Going down and down and down. It's coming down to the guys in front of Matt Green. It's 2 seconds. Johnson's got to make a decision. He pulls out. He goes to have a go at Hernandez. It's going to get through. He got him right at that right point as well, under the Bilston Bridge. Down he goes into Tiergarten. Stephen Johnson takes that 4th place away, and Matt Green ended up 1.8 seconds in front of them down the straight, which is insane that these guys have managed to pull that out, but they've done a good job with him at the moment. But this is where Matt Green can start motoring away from these guys and leave him as we go into the stadium for lap 3.
Yeah, it's happening as well. You can already see it. 2 seconds. Hernandez forced on the defensive. Johnson forced on the defensive from Hernandez down towards turn 1, and they're very much consigning themselves to their own fight here. Johnson just pushes on a little bit far there at turn 2, and there goes Hernandez down the inside. No. He just has a peak, but
yes.
Oh dear, that's very understeery there. That wasn't good. And look at the space they're giving each other. Now that they've got all the space to give each other on the Grand Prix layout, they are doing it. A bit of boost there from Johnson just about keeps him forward in 4th place.
Yeah, Hernandez had that tight inside line as well. He's lost that a little bit for Dave Hernandez on the run down into the right-hander of Dunlop. Hernandez has surely got to look up the inside at the moment. The door's wide open, Dave. The door's wide open. And he does go through. No, he doesn't go through. That door was left wide open for him.
And again, he's got the outside into the Schumacher S. No, doesn't go for it. There's some strange boosting going on between these two at the moment in terms of where they want to be and where they don't want to be. But yeah, he's just passing up a couple of those opportunities right now. Get the feeling watching these two, not sure quite why they've only just started this train of thought, but it looks like they are really scared of making contact. Maybe it's seeing Messick going into the wall the way they did on that previous lap. Suddenly they thought, we absolutely can't make contact with anybody else, and they're giving each other loads of room on the Grand Prix circuit when they're side by side.
Yeah, some may say a little bit too much. Don't know if they need to give too much room like that. I think they can basically be a little bit tighter and work it a little bit closer, but at the moment, I suppose it's out of respect. I suppose it's out of wanting to finish the race. I suppose it's not wanting to almost and put each other into the barrier, and that's the problem. But they don't need to give as much as they're giving at the moment.
And they are certainly given a lot of room, and yeah, it's well, it's not particularly advisable, but anyway, they're at least still in the race, and that's more than can be said for some. Pat Messick's still in pit lane, by the way, and as long as he gets out in front of Chase Petterjohn, he's only just coming up towards the scene of the crime, actually, up towards the Muckkurve. He should be fine to keep 11th. Let's see if Messick has any serious championship ambitions this season, but he's not finished in the top 5 at all yet this season, so it's been a bit difficult for him, despite the fact he's been at every round so far. And that's going to be another story that continues on here today. As far as the championship goes, by the way, Kratwald is going to still be leading it, you would imagine, at the end in terms of total points. Dean Dilt's not here today. Corey Stas, though, will be making moves, and when we start to apply those drop weeks, we're going to start to see Corey Stas in a real strong position, because he's not finished outside the top 2 yet this season, and if he keeps it on the road here, that will continue here.
Absolutely. Corey Stas is on here, and I think he's doing rather well this season. In conjunction, he'll gain points on Evan Crautfield, Dave Mole, Dean Diltz, of course, and for him that's absolutely mighty, especially when we go into next week. So I think Corey Stas has got to keep up this winning attitude to see if he can get within that championship fight towards the end of the season, because it's not been a great season for Stas. You know, he took the win in the FF 1600. He's had second in the ARX and first in the TCRs. Wasn't here for the mini stock. He kept it up on the podium with the GT4s, of course, finishing in second place as well. So if he takes another win, he will boost himself quite a lot. And it's quite strange, actually, for a man that every race he has been here, he hasn't finished off the podium, he's still not leading the championship.
Yeah. It is a bit strange, but as I say, we haven't applied those drop weeks yet. I think when we do, it will be just about him, although it will be closer to Kratwald, because don't forget, in round 2 and 3, even though he finished outside the top 5, Kratwald got the maximum, or the most, I should say, out of everybody, 4 bonus points compared to everybody else. You know, that's pretty significant in championships that are always so tight. Yeah, that's very significant. Here comes Hernandez, meantime. Outside line through Kesselson. He's just run out of boost at the end of that little section there, and Johnson's going to get back past him again. So through the early part out of Bergwerk, Hernandez got alongside, and Johnson just needed a little bit more energy to get back past again, and he does get his nose back in front. So fascinating the way these guys deploy that extra energy.
Yeah, and they're going to be backwards and forwards at each other constantly. This is going to be the question. You know, I think this isn't going to be resolved until the final lap of the race, and that's when you know what is going to come out of this, and you know how this is going to work. You know, this is a battle. This is one of the closest battles on track, apart from Dave Mole, who's just cleared John Amico, but I think John may have let him go through there. I'm not going to lie, that was a little bit straightforward for Dave Mole, who's now going to motor on his way. Does look like Amico had an incident, and Chase Petterjohn again, who, don't forget, has just come out of pit lane, and it looks like he may have had an issue again. But Stephen Johnson at the moment now pulling away from Dave Hernandez and doing a good job in the process.
And look at this through the SS section at the end of the lap as well. It is such a fast section of racetrack, so great to watch as well. So now pulls into the right-hander of Brunchen. Got about a second over Hernandez. Maybe this is a bit of a difference in terms of the setup that these two have employed for this round of the championship. As you say, they are allowed to change the setup on any day, apart from on Duck Week, which is the final race of the season, where the car is released to these guys just 30 minutes before practice opens for an hour. So it really is about learning on the spot with that fixed setup. But just as they get to the end of that section, Hernandez closes in again. The battle's going to continue towards the end of lap 3.
Yeah, it's not going to stop. I don't think this is going to stop this battle. These two are so closely matched on pace. Dave Hernandez 7:05.64 last time out. Stephen Johnson 7:07.89, so 2.3 second gap. But it's Johnson that leads out of the two. And that's the thing. Johnson hasn't got a best time at the moment due to the fact I'm gathering that every lap he's done, he's had some form of off track. But watch this from Dave Hernandez. It's going to absolutely bring it in. He wants to get him on a downhill, topping nearly north of 200 mile an hour, just about. Up the other side he goes. He's now got to look for the overspeed coming down under the Bilston Bridge. He may be a little bit early here, Ewan, and I don't know if he's going to be able to hold this. He did come out too early.
No. Yeah, he did. And yeah, wondering how he's going to get through now, because that's over the last couple of moments been some real difficulty now as far as getting past goes. He's got a better exit there, but can he use that power on the way down towards turn one to get past? Immediately Johnson goes on the defensive, knowing what's coming here, and Hernandez moves to the outside line down towards turn one. Oh, that's quite late on the brakes from Johnson. Oh, too late, way too late. Oh, but Hernandez spins himself as well. Half spin it was. He might have even collided with the wall there, Johnson. The winner here, well, not winner yet, but he's surely going to go on to win because he's leading by more than 20 seconds. Did he hit the wall there? If he did, the signs of damage are not obvious.
No, they're not at the moment, and he's done something, because he is not comfortable. Right. He's looking all right, isn't he? But I'm just wondering, because he's been off a couple of... Oh, Pat's been off again, and then straight back to pit lane. So whatever he's done, he's not done well either.
Now that'll be a 12th place finish for him now. There's almost no point in him re-emerging from that pit lane, unfortunately, because, yeah, that extra point he was gaining by finishing 11th rather than 12th is going to have gone away now. But, yeah, we saw it last lap, actually. Johnson really struggling through the slower speed section of the opening part of the Grand Prix circuit. When they're out on the north side, and he's actually in a more flowing medium to high speed section, he seems to be more okay, but controlling this car at low speed doesn't seem to be something he's been comfortable with this race.
Yeah. He's been looking a little bit raggedy at times, and there's no offence to Stephen Johnson. He was looking a little bit raggedy. Dan Kosick is going to try and make up this moment here for this final lap. It's going to be interesting to see how close Dan can get, whether or not they can bring this gap down. And is there going to be a final lap battle? But Corey Stas, final lap, out in front, 1.9, maybe nearly 2 seconds here. Doing a great job in the process.
He's been under pressure from Krautwald as well. He's soaked that up really nicely. It's been a good drive from Corey Stas so far. In a Mazda livery, actually, with that to go with that Porsche. So, a bit of a mash-up there, but we never got the Mazda DPI, as it was called back in the day, the previous regulations for IMSA when these cars were about in Europe. We had that Mazda over in America, and Corey Stas has gone with that livery for this round of the championship. He's had that Audi in the background of Evan Krautwald in the rearview mirrors the whole time, but as I say, he's soaked up that pressure really, really well. He's got the best lap of anybody. A 6:59.4, and that may not be beaten by anybody as well. Still the only man to go sub 7 minutes, actually. Did it in qualifying, doing it again now in the race, though Krautwald's getting close, as you say. He's had an off-track every lap so far. Yeah,
absolutely, and that's where that 2.4 seconds has come from Corey Stas. I think Krautwald would have been closer if he just doesn't keep making mistakes, and unfortunately, he has made mistakes. He's made mistakes to the point of where you can see his wing is a little bit bent on the left-hand side or behind us, whatever way you're looking at the car. You can see it there on the right. He's just bent forward, it's crinkled. But that come from an earlier overtake, which we will have a look back at, because I do want to see what Krautwald got himself into. But Stas at the moment, running away with it out in front for the final lap. You can see everybody's fairly spread out, and unfortunately for Pat Messick, he's in the pit lane.
Yeah, that's a real shame. His pretty miserable season's continuing here, unfortunately for him. He's been at every round so far, but he scored the second least amount of points of a pro driver to have been at every round so far. Only Dave Hernandez has got less, and only 3 less as well, so that's going to reverse itself at the end of today, with Hernandez having a good run up in 4th position at the moment. Finally seen off Stephen Johnson going on to this last lap, so Messick, the least amount of points of anyone who's been at all the rounds so far. That is a real shame to see for him. Down in 12th at the moment. I'm not sure he's going to re-emerge before the finish either. Down in Am, Scott Sadler has been away for a couple of rounds now, but Stephen Johnson's going to get a 5th place finish. That's 26 points in terms of a race finish. He's going to get 1 for finishing the race. He's also going to get 3 for winning the class as well, don't forget. So that total points deficit is going to be reversed. He was only 3 points behind coming into today. That's going to be reversed now, but that's less of the worry. The bigger thing is going to be later on in the season when we apply the drop weeks and see where everybody is after that a little bit later in the season.
Yeah, I think that's going to give us a better idea here. Now, what do we think on interior? Is it the Audi or is it the Porsche? We're inside the Porsche at the moment. You can see the way the steering wheel looks and how it is, but that is the Audi's inside.
He's got suspension damage, by the way.
Yeah, he's badly hooked to the left, isn't he?
Severe. Yeah, that's very severe. So I didn't actually fully realise that at the time. Maybe I didn't. I don't know why I didn't realise, but that's hefty. And he's doing a very good job of holding on to that. Clearly, it's front suspension damage because he wouldn't be controlling rear suspension damage quite that well. But yeah, he's certainly hit something, and that damage is not only visual.
Yeah, unfortunately for Evan Krautfeld, but I do wonder if that come from the lap 1 overtake, and he's driven for the last 3 laps like that. That would be even more impressive.
It's possible, although, look at the gap there back to Matt Green. It's the sensible choice. He's probably lost himself, in fact, he's definitely lost himself some time by staying out, but he would have lost even more by coming into the pit lane. If he did it now, for example, Green would get out straight ahead of him in that 2nd place. So, yeah, Krautfeld's done a very good job, but so has Stas, in fairness, in getting that lead initially and just keeping it on the road from there on. No mistakes made. All in the opening session, of course, well, the only driver to go less than 7 minutes. It looks like he's closing this one out now as well.
Yeah, it does. Down the dotting he goes for the final time. What sort of speed has he got without draft? North of 190. Fair play. That dotting don't seem so long in these cars, does it? We're in an MX-5. It seems like
No.
we're at it for ages.
Well, that's where the whole slower cars better for racing thing comes in. But these cars have provided some entertainment here today, that's for sure. And Corey Stats will be very pleased to have chose it as well, because he's going to come through the final couple of corners right now to take victory in the LMP1's for the Tail Racing Ring Runners Season 11. A great round for Stas as he takes another victory. His 3rd win of the season, by the way, as Dan Cosick gets past another class winner. Stephen Johnson's going to win, but unfortunately he's battered and bruised here. He might have been in the wall again on the last lap as Dan Cosick flies past him. Johnson only 6th, and while he does win the AM class, it's another few points that have just trickled away from him in these weeks that Scott Sadler has been absent.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, he was sitting at 3rd overall. Stephen Johnson is now finishing in 6th, and there was drama from Stephen on the final lap, so we will have a look back at that. But Dan Cosick goes over the line. Not sure where David Anders went then briefly. Either Cosick's having a blink or one of them is. That keeps swapping, but both of them come over the line there. Job done. Also on the final lap, no, that was actually just Chase Petterjohn because he jumped straight back to pit lane. So unfortunately for Chase, he's in pit lane. There is 9th and 10th and not very far apart. Matt Van Horn and John Amico. Yeah,
John Amico giving this a right good go right towards the very end of this race, but there's only the straight really now to come. And he's not quite close enough, I don't think, 1.4 seconds. But as we've seen time and again, you have some energy to burn. You can fly up to the back of the car in front of you, but it's actually going the opposite way. Matt Van Horn is just emptying his energy tank, as it were, the hybrid energy. And look at that, 2.5 seconds, 3 seconds it will shortly be as well. So Matt Van Horn will hold on for 9th. He'll get a podium place, actually, in the AM class as well. Matt Van Horn has missed his 1st round of the season last week. He got his first top 10 of the season in the mini stocks, but this will be his best overall finish of the season so far, finishing in 9th here today. And I believe that makes it his 1st AM podium, if I'm not mistaken.
Nope, you are right.
Maybe his 2nd. I think he might have finished 3rd at the 1st round of the FF1600s, actually. But anyway, that was quite a while ago. He's certainly got the podium here anyway. And he gets a best overall finish to go with it as well. Let's have a look at the race results from those LMP1's. It's Corey Stas who takes the win by 4.2 ahead of Evan Kratrab, with Matt Green running off the podium. David Anders and Dan Kosick round out the top 5, with Stephen Johnson getting that AM win down in 6th place ahead of Anthony Solomon. Dave Mull was next to the Matt Van Horn, John Amico, Chase Petterjohn and Pat Mish had their various issues that we're about to see.
Yes, we are. We're going to start this off. We saw Anthony Solomon's live, so I'm not overly worried about Mr. Solomon's incident, but I am worried about why Chase Petterjohn sent him back to the pit lane on lap 1. Oh, okay.
Too fast into the Hudson back. The wall is there to collect you very quickly. It's a braking zone. You've got to sort of split into 2 halves, and you've got to err on the side of going a bit earlier. This is got into the curb and then the wall. Wow, that's how he got all this suspension damage and lost the lead for good.
Yeah, and I think he drove. Yeah, he did. He drove for the whole 4 laps like that. Fair play to Pat for that one. This is Anthony Solomon on lap 2. I think this could be just slow into turn 1 looking at that, though. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, probably brakes too late here. And we saw the guys really... Oh, yeah, there you go. Lock up. Oh, no, he is probably off the circuit. But turn 1 just goes a bit too deep. That's something we saw a lot of, by the way, in that first sector of people going really, really slowly because they'd had trouble. This is Mesh back into the wall after hitting the wall at the McCurver, of course, so he went back to pit lane.
Yeah, he did, and that was him done and dusted. Big one for John Amico. Well, saying a big one. Oh, there we go. I got a funny feeling we might have just seen this. He's just going to do the same thing. Oh, no, he actually does go around this time. Proper spin. So there we go. For him. Chase Petterjohn on lap 3. Oh, dear me. Turn 1's causing a little bit of issue here.
Yeah, I mean, we saw some of it live. The stadium section to begin with is just so hard in these cars. They're not used to going slow speed, and there you go. There's another spin. Shows you it's not a manufacturer thing, because that's the Porsche and an Audi doing the same thing. This is Stephen Johnson. Now, did he hit the wall? Didn't quite see it live, and he didn't.
Oh, yes.
Oh, he grazed it. Well, he
did it enough to knock the back end, didn't he, and did himself no favours there. Pat sent himself back into pit lane. Mind you, don't forget he come out of pit lane. Oh, no.
Carousel again.
Yeah.
So, this is where he towed last time. Whoa! What's he doing there? He's trying to roll the car over, it looked like there. He was right up on 2 wheels.
So bizarre.
Yeah.
He pulled it back into the carousel, then popped out the carousel, and then bang, straight into the wall. Don't forget, he just come out of pit lane as well. Same with Chase Petterjohn. Also come out of pit lane. This sent him back into pit lane. It doesn't look like...
a bit of damage already. There you go.
And then I think he just gives up. The Chase Petterjohn.
Well, there was little point in continuing, really, with Mesek already in pit lane as well. He soon gave up after that.
No, he does. He gives up. No, I thought he was going to be more, but I got a funny feeling he just pulls that over. Yeah, he does. Yeah. Stopping. So there we go. That was it. That's the replay run through for this week.
And as far as LMP1's go, that was pretty good going from everybody as well. Firstly, in terms of the racing, which I thought was fantastic. The last lap did dry up a little bit, but that's to be expected with a slightly smaller field than what we normally get and such difficult cars to control as well. But also, in the way of incidents as well, these guys knew the task at hand, and so they just toned it back a little bit, made sure that it wasn't a complete crash fest. And looking at those replays, it certainly wasn't. That was a good addition to the season.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good. It doesn't completely demolish the fact of slower cars bring better racing, but it wasn't a bad effort.
No, it wasn't a bad effort at all. But there we have it. That is round 6 of the Tail Racing Ring Runners in Season 11. We'll be back next week with the Porsche Cup cars as we take on some more cars you're more likely to see around this racetrack next week, and indeed the week after with the MX-5 Cup cars as well, which are going to be absolutely fantastic to watch. So we look forward to those. But for now, from myself, Ewan Leary, James Parfitt, we'll see you in 1 week's time with those Porsche Cup cars. Goodbye for now.